Good morning, this is Trista. After the last video, I spoke about having to do a very strict diet, wanting to really hone in my diet so that I can get thriving consistently again and get rid of what I think may be the core issue, which is the Epstein-Barr virus. So over the past week or so since I posted my last report, I've been, the diet has been very challenging, even though the Thrive is supporting me to be able to do, more strict diet than I've ever done before. And my energy is pretty stabilized. I haven't been completely wiped out like I would have previously, but the fatigue came back and it has been lingering and coming and going throughout the days. But I feel quite supported in, more than I have before. So, but anyways, the point that I want to speak about today is I'm at this retreat with my teacher, David G, and sinking into the stillness and returning again to my heart and remembering where everything is coming from, which is a mystery. It's all coming from a mystery source. The origins of every single thought, feeling, and emotion is coming from what people call love. And even though that is not my experience yet, when I return to this space, this spaciousness, I can see that everything is coming from peace. And so in that, also, I'm staying with this woman here in Carmel who is hosting me for the retreat. And she is a very experienced and wise shaman and woman who has been through so much shattering and herself has gone through many, many years of dealing with Lyme's. And when I showed up here, I was in an emotional state. I was feeling very deprived. Food-wise, I was feeling there was definitely things coming up around this feeling of not being full and having the fatigue. And anyway, so I was very emotional, and I kind of broke down crying about just how vulnerable I was feeling, and she helped me to hold this in a very new light. She reminded me of something very important, and something very important for anyone that's been watching and who is dealing with chronic illness. We don't know, no one really knows what is going on or what's wrong, and no one really knows all the answers about how to heal your body. So the other perspective, that I think it's important to approach your healing from a logistical and, diet and understanding, trying to understand what's going on. But at the same time, it's equally important when there's a flare-up to hold this wounded aspect of yourself, the one that's in pain, because the one that's tired, the one that's depressed, the one that's having burning skin issues or migraine headaches or whatever it is, all of this is a manifestation of our wounded earth, our wounded planet. Our bodies are hurting because we've abandoned them and we've treated them so badly. And the ones like me who are in the chronic conditions, we are the martyrs. We are the ones that are transmuting this pain for the entire planet, for the collective, and for the earth. And if, when there's a flare up, to really be with that pain and to hold it in a space of compassion, deep, deep compassion, as if you would hold a young child. Because it's not really you, it's not really yours, it's just what's playing through your vehicle as a manifestation for where we're at in the collective consciousness. Anyway, so the woman that's hosting me helped me to see this on a deeper level and to really hold myself in that space. And the mind wants to understand, the mind wants to know when it's going to end. When am I going to be free from this pain? When am I going to be free from this fatigue or whatever we're struggling with? But, that is unknown. So to let go of any timeline and to let go and to allow ourselves to really feel what wants to be felt. And to give yourself the space, which is is always a challenge when you have even like a job and kids and things going on. But, that's what's really being called for, because we're so stressed out. The mind and the collective consciousness stress is at an all-time high. And the day-to-day tasks that the mind thinks is so important is actually not that important. And what's really important, what's critical right now, and the best work that we can do for the planet and for ourselves, is to return to the space and understand. And another thing, sitting with David G again, I sat up with him in the chair, and I was having all this grief coming up around food and not feeling full and feeling like, well, I don't know what the story is, but a lot of grief has been coming up around, maybe it's a past life thing of being starved to death and not having enough and like never feeling like there's enough. And also, but he really, he was very direct about pointing me back to the spaciousness, where it's all coming from. And when, there's this grief, and I wanted to say it's my grief, and attached to the story, there's grief coming up, and instead it's like open back to the spaciousness from the container of where it's all arising from. And when I did that, all the grief feeling or the sensation that was coming through, it transformed to this deep, sweet, vulnerable longing in my heart to return to my beloved, to return to truth, to return home. And that's, I think anyone watching knows that in your chronic illness, in the struggles, the most beautiful vulnerability and heart opening happens, and it's softening us, it's returning us to our hearts, it's helping us to connect with each other on a real level. When you're suffering and you reach out to another person, like that's some of the most intimate connections you can have, like to sink into your vulnerability as a human, as like a human in pain. We're all deeply, deeply in pain from so many years of forgetting who we really are. So, the thrive thing that I've been through, like I've been humbled, like I said in my last video, and the humbling is where, I continuously come through this phase where I'm like, oh, I got it. I'm going to be good for the rest, I'm feeling great and this is going to stay the same. I'm going to stay feeling great for the rest of my life. So it's just like the mind wants to hook on to like, yes, I did it and I'm done. But the truth is, like, if you're, I'm someone who wants to fully awaken, meaning to know that Trista and her story actually don't actually exist. Like, this is all an illusion. It's just a story playing out. And the truth of my being is my eternal nature that's watching the whole play happen. And it will continue to watch the whole play happen. And when this body dies, it will die. I will continue. I have been the one that has watched Trista go through her ups and downs in her journey. And throughout lifetimes, I am the one who has watched all this pain and suffering and joy and the expansion and the contraction. So the point is that the humbling has happened where I've now surrendered that the continuous cycles, there will continue to be struggles, whether they're health struggles or other of other natures, relationship struggles, money struggles. The character will continue to cycle around all of its issues, all of its thoughts and things that are keeping it blocked from knowing its true nature 100%. So if you're on the path of awakening with me, just know these cycles are going to continue. And when the mind rages and the body rages into its fatigue or whatever it is you're dealing with, into its pain, to hold it in a space of compassion, knowing you're doing this service for humanity, to hold this pain with love and compassion, and know it's not yours, and that it's coming up to be seen and to be burned away, so that you can know who you really are. So that's the teaching, the deeper teaching. I'm so grateful for this woman that I'm staying with, for helping me point me back to the truth and the compassionate space, and for reminding me that this work that's happening through my body, every time the fatigue rages, it's not to go into the mind of like, I'm doing something wrong, or when is this going to end, or how can I fix it? That's always, it's important to try to eat better, but to when it's really up for you, to try and not resist, to try and return to the space from where it's all coming. And when you do that, when I do that, when I've done that in the past few days, it's almost like the sensations are, like, they're not good, but they turn into something besides pain. It turns into something so sweet and vulnerable, and that's the practice, is to continue to practice that, and to know, like, to have this, I've had this experience, and to continue to know that the body and the emotions and everything that's flowing through, it's not who I am. It's not even close. And when the attention is focused on this body and this mind and what's going on with me and my story, then it's going to feel like deep suffering. But when the attention is relaxed into the open space, then it's just more of this, more emotions, more sensations coming through. And it's not even, you don't have to claim it. You don't have to do anything about it. We just try to be with it. So that's my update. I hope maybe that helps some other people. I really want to do an interview with this incredible woman that I'm here with to help her, to help clarify even more this approach to healing that I'm starting to see is even more beneficial than trying to know the answers or trying to feel like you have to fix it right away, and more about writing out the journey and to use it as a pointer back to our true nature, back to our true self. So thank you, my friends, for watching. I had a couple comments about, how I'm, maybe trying to be an expert or a leader or mislead people with information. And I can see maybe that's, my ego definitely gets involved in like, oh my gosh, I have the answer for everybody. And it does. I do that. It's one of my karmic things that I'm working through. So wanting to, not come from that ego, but to come from my heart. I'm practicing that and trying to be aware when I'm coming from my ego. And yeah, that, part of the thrive thing, like when I first find something, I get so excited about it. So I want to share it with the world. And I do know that I do still feel thrive is amazing, and it's helping me and it's helping so many people. So I continue to promote it, and I have samples. So if you want to try it, reach out. And one more thing, I want to share that with all of this food addictions that's coming up, there's some interesting challenges coming up around food. My coach, Stacy, recommended a woman named Mia Den Han, and she has this package where it's like MP3 audio recordings that help clear food patterns from early life and past lives. So I'm going to get that, and I will report to you on my next update how that goes. So that's what I want to say. Okay, this is a long one. Much love.